Thanks, Hexy. So we have, while we are learning the more advanced rules for lock and loads, Wellington versus Napoleon game, the Glory and Empire First Victories, we thought we'd set up something old school and go down the old Wellington's Victory Road with Ney versus Wellington at Quatre. And man, I set this up. I think I started playing it last night. Just mostly, the first two turns are just mostly movement to contact. But then I just knocked out 3 turns tonight. And God, what an interesting system. Another one that is not heavily morale based, but there's, much like Terrible Swift Sword was, there's a lot of strength point works in this game here with fire combat and with shot combat, or melee, however you want to call it. Unique cavalry charge system in this game, which I don't know how much there's going to be in this one, but with the setting up a charge zone with the cavalry, and once they're morale checked for a charge initiating, eventually whether they get to a target or not, having to move 3 hexes, that kind of stuff. It's kind of, you know, they can't move once they declare the charge, but they're going to move 3 hexes after the charge, which could, I'm sure it'll serve a purpose somewhere. But I had a charge situation set up over here, but both of these skirmish units are in marshes, and horses cannot go into the marshes. Okay, so we were able to get the British, and I believe these are Dutch. I'm not sure if those are Nassau or not, or I never know what's Belgium, what's Dutch. I know there's no Hanoverians on the map yet. Got some Brunswickers here that are on the map, and of course the Allies have a lot more to come later. The French has some cavalry to come on, but you got pretty much all of Ryle's Second Corps here on the map, and started the advance right away. First change of pace for them to get into line over here. The Brits had a skirmish line that they got into position all along this stream right here, headed towards this pond. But once these infantry formations hit them, they didn't have a prayer. You know, quite a few of them, as you can see up in the corner here, have gotten knocked out. An artillery battery that, for the life of me, I don't understand why they were posted so far out on their own with no cover, because on their limbered side, they have like 3 movement points. They were not going to get back behind lines. And with all the Dutch over here, I think, like I say, I think they're Dutch, over here in the woods, they were not going to get out there to cover them. I couldn't get nothing there fast enough to cover them. So, you know, it was one of those deals, since there's not a lot of artillery on the map, although when it fires, it raises hell. I can tell you that right now. It was a hard press. Do I want to give up an infantry battalion, or do I just want to lose those guns? And it, you know, looked like those guns were the things were going to get lost. So, but like I said, I did get the coalition forward before the French could strike. And I would say casualty-wise on the infantry, initially it looked like the French were taking the biggest beating. They've lost some of their forward skirmish units too. Not quite as many, maybe 1 or 2 companies less than the Allies have. And you have these light battalions in here, which they can convert all of their strength points into skirmishers, which works out well, because you could drop a light battalion out for an entire division, all right? And you've almost got enough skirmishers to cover your entire front, unless you want to start stacking. Now, you notice I don't really have anything stacked in here. There's a few times where just some of this French column infantry was stacked with some skirmishers as they were moving through the contact. Your skirmishers cannot move into the minimum fire range of a formed unit, so pretty much an infantry battalion or a set of cannons. They can't move into their adjacent hex, which will be their minimum fire range. Artillery's minimum fire range is 2 hexes, so your skirmishers got to stay outside of that. So you need your formed units, you need your battalions to get up in here. And in this game here, you have an extended line formation, which was one of the things, I think that's the reason why I never dug one of these out and really played them full, because I didn't like that for some reason. But it works because the facing is vertex here, so that extended line always works. Now, the deal is, if these things change their, if they change their facing in an extended line and they got to shift, the units get disordered automatically. So disorder is a big thing in scheme. You do not want to be disordered and then suffer a rout, because you start taking big losses when you do that. Had skirmishers that suffer a DR result, which is a disorder and retreat, skirmish units are already considered disordered from the start because they're so spread out that they become a rout, and a rout ends up causing them 2 strength point losses. So they're pretty much eliminated in certain situations. Like I said, the cavalry probably not going to play a big thing in here. There might be a charge or two that'll happen somewhere, but opportunity's not presented itself yet. The French are just moving forward in mass. As you can already see, this coalition line was stretched across here to this along the stream, and the formed infantry units, which they're very good quality British units, were sitting back here along this high ground. Well, you can see where they are now. Just, I think I had effectiveness checks where I rolled 3 6s in a row on formed units, or 2 formed units in a skirmish unit. So you got 1, 2, 3 that have run away back here. Skirmishers are the dead skirmishers that have run backwards. These guys were moving this way to sort of cover this flank in case this cavalry gets around these skirmishers over here. Probably get them in this soft cover area here. But when the French cracked this forward line, these guys were going to end up getting trapped. They might get trapped. So right now, momentum definitely on the French. The Netherlanders over here, Dutch, whatever they are, they're not very effective. You can see it when they're in there. I need to get them in line to get better firing. And you can see that their effectivenesses are 1, 3, 2, stuff like that, where the Brits have 5s and 6s over here of their effectiveness. And that effectiveness comes into play when you're firing, and it comes into play when you do shock combat. Now, I'm going to be waiting for everybody's opinions on this. 11 pages of rules, and I think almost the last 2.5 to 3 pages are all about the cavalry and shock. So that's one of the deepest things in here. Not a whole lot of vagaries, I would say, in the rules. I'm able to go find the answers. Skirmishers, you got to really pay attention to, because like I say, they're an unformed combat unit. They have all around facing. They can shock. Just, you're not going to shock into a formed unit because you're not going to get in there unless that formed unit advances on you. And if they advance on you, the way the sequence of play works in this game is really, really unique compared to anything else I think I've played, the way the shocks fall. Because one force will move, do its facing formation, then they'll move, but they don't get to shock. The enemy gets to shock attack. So you got to kind of pre-plan your cavalry charge zones. You have a 6-hex triangle stemming out from where the cavalry unit is that's going to charge. And anything inside that thing, they're going to, in their facing and formation phase, if you're inside that cavalry charge zone, you got to take a morale check before anything even happens, because you're sitting inside that cavalry charge zone. But then you've got these things where if a unit moves into what could be a cavalry charge zone at minimum range, minimum charge zone, that cavalry can opportunity charge. So you got to kind of watch that. Thankfully, there's not a ton of cavalry on here yet. Like I said, I think the French have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squadrons, and maybe 3 more to go. And all of the Allies, they've probably got about 6 squadrons, and I think they're all on the map. I have to look through the stack, see what else is over there. But Wellington's moved forward out of Quatre. He's moved south to meet the French, to keep them away from that intersection up there. And he's deployed. And most of his stuff is into extended line. Now, another cool feature, the Brits and the Hanoverians, when they go into extended line, they are a 2-rank line. And when you're firing, if you're looking at the chart right here, they get to fire on a 2-rank line. You see they use their strength points. They go way out here to the right, so they can cause some serious casualties, whereas everything else is, and all the French are all 3-rank. And then, of course, you got your squares, disorder formations, and you got your column and skirmish formations, which I don't understand why they have a disorder formation and then a skirmish formation when skirmishers are always disordered unless they're routed. So, all right, Ney versus Wellington, SPI, 1979. Same system as Wellington's victory. And me and Meandering Michael were talking about, because I was asking about, why they never did a Ligny game. Ligny, however you want to say it. And Mike kind of thought because there have been a lot more units on the board for that one there. And it just maybe SPI just maybe never got around to it. So good game, good system. I've blown through 5 turns, getting ready to start the 15:45 turn, game turn 6, and it moves along pretty good. You understand a couple of the subtleties about skirmishers, morale, and cavalry charges, and you can handle this game and move right through it. All right, let's get this up so y'all can see what's going on. Ney versus Wellington. This is my interim game while I'm learning the rules, the brigade rules for lock and load skin. All right, talk to y'all soon.